Hey, what's up, guys? So, I wanted to clear something up. I do a lot of this because there's a lot of confusion around whether or not you should be building muscle or losing fat, when to do each. So, I'm going to give it to you really, really basic. What I would do, and if I was doing it all over again, and I definitely wasted some time in the beginning because there's so much information out there and you kind of second guess yourself, and you want to do both, obviously. So what I would do is diet down first. Get to a point where you're lean, where you've got certainly visible abs, where you've got a six pack. Okay, so that is done in the caloric deficit more than anything. You don't need cardio to do it. Period. I've rarely do cardio, but it's controlled through the diet. You can add cardio to expedite it, but I really wouldn't do too much because then you're sacrificing your muscle as well. So then you get to that point, then you add, and you don't go crazy, especially if you're confused and haven't had success and don't know what you're doing. Then let's face it, you just don't know the game and your body as well. And it takes time and it takes a personal experience to have an understanding of it, believe me. Um, and then I think it's important to kind of go both ways. Let's say you don't have any muscle at all and you're fat. Okay, then what I would do, get lean. Lose that fat. It's going to make it all so much easier. So lose the fat, get to a point where you're lean and don't have muscle. And then that brings me to the next person. You're just skinny, you don't have muscle, but you don't have fat. So at this point, you start bulking. Where it's confusing is like somebody like me, I was always a mesomorph, meaning I didn't have a really hard time building muscle or losing fat. But then it's tougher to decide which to do because I'm not very fat, so I could add, but then I'm not as lean as I want to be maybe, so I also could cut, and that's why it was very hard for me. And if you're in that position where you do have a good amount of mass, but you've still got some fat covering it up, I would just diet down slowly because unlike the other two examples, you have got some muscle to lose and you don't want to do that. It takes forever to build and that's not the desired result. We don't want that. So, for you got to be careful. Cut back calories just a little bit. Monitor your progress. If you need to, cut them back a little bit more, probably in the form of carbs. And then once you're at that point where you're really defined, great. You can just stay where you're at if you have enough muscle and you're content with that. Or you can slowly add a few hundred calories a day and kind of monitor that and see if you're building without getting rid of those abs. And to anybody, if you have lost your abs entirely, unless you're just really extreme or you just know what you're doing or don't want to hear it, I would never suggest you lose your abs. If you've got them and you can see them, keep them. It's not going to be razor sharp like on stage when you're bulking. That's okay. That's where I'm at now. I've got them. It's quite clear, but it's not like they're sucked in and vacuum packed like I'm on stage. And I'm not going to build being in a deficit or being in a maintenance. I need that those additional calories, the surplus to build. So there you have it. And there's a lot of reasons for why I do it that way. I think it's easier to see. I think it's easier to monitor. I know your hormones and your insulin sensitivity and everything like that is just much more fired up, your metabolism, when you are lean. When you're really fat, it's just hard to even do any of these things. Your internal processes just don't work as they should. So that's what I would do, you guys. Um, Again, fat, no muscle, and be honest with yourself. Be a little hard on yourself. Then you diet it down. Okay, you're going to have way better results. If you are skinny, then great. You're lean, add slowly. Eat healthy, by the way, everyone. Eat healthy, bulk healthy, diet healthy. Then, if you're both, if you've got a good amount of muscle, but you've got some layers of fat over that or whatever, be careful. Preserve what you've got. Cut down slowly to a point where you're nice and ripped, and then decide whether or not you want to keep it there or if you want to, continue to build. So please feel free to ask me any questions. I know it's kind of complicated and it's an arduous process of, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but I'm happy to help.